you ever actually stop to wonder about, well, the ultimate human mystery? You know, the monumental question of whether our consciousness actually continues beyond our physical life? Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're unpacking an absolutely fascinating perspective on exactly that. We're going to dive deep into a highly specific, deeply documented vision of the afterlife, relying purely on the original source text to guide us through what is honestly one of history's most captivating metaphysical maps. So here's the big question. What happens in the first 3 days after we die? It's a stark, striking question, right? I mean, most of us probably view death as this instantaneous ending, just a sudden final curtain drop. But what if it isn't a sudden stop? What if instead it's the start of a highly structured, super active 72-hour transition? That right there is the central premise of our chronological journey today. We're going to explore the idea that those first 3 days are definitely not some empty void, but a surprisingly busy, profound passage for the soul. To really grasp this concept, we've got to look at where it came from. Enter Edgar Cayce. You might know him as the Sleeping Prophet. Cayce is without a doubt one of the early 20th century's most influential spiritual figures. He got that nickname because he would literally enter this sleep-like trance state to deliver his insights, which he just called readings. We're talking over 14,000 documented readings during his lifetime. He covered everything from physical health to deep metaphysical philosophy. But as you'll see, some of his most intriguing work focused squarely on the exact mechanics of what the soul goes through immediately after physical death. Okay, let's dive into this. Here is our roadmap for today. 1. The Sleeping Prophet's vision. 2. Separating from the body. 3. Guidance and transition. 4. The life review. And finally, 5. Broader spiritual traditions.
Section 1. The Sleeping Prophet's vision. Introducing Cayce's teachings.
As we objectively explore Cayce's documented texts, it's pretty amazing to see just how specific his focus areas actually were. He didn't just hand-wave about vague notions of peace or clouds, right? His texts actually broke down the afterlife into highly specific, actionable phases. In his view, consciousness absolutely doesn't end. It merely shifts. He detailed the exact transition from the physical body, the crucial role of consciousness, the presence of spiritual guidance, the intense concept of a life review, and what those early stages of the soul's experience truly look like. It's essentially a highly structured blueprint of life after death. Section 2. Separating from the body. The first stage of the passage. So, according to Cayce's teachings, death is definitely not a passive event. It is a very active process of separation. The initial phase of this 3-day passage involves the soul completely, literally untangling itself from the physical body. Cayce famously talked about the severing of a silver cord that connects our physical and spiritual forms. And because that connection is so deeply rooted, the separation takes real time. It's not like flipping a light switch off. Think of it more like a massive ship slowly and deliberately untying its heavy mooring lines from a dock. The physical vessel gets left behind, sure, but the consciousness, the actual core of who we are, starts its navigation outward. Section 3. Guidance and transition. The soul's experience. Let's move to how this builds across our widescreen layout here. Step 1, that physical separation we just talked about, is immediately followed by Step 2, the arrival of spiritual guidance. Cayce's readings strongly suggest that transitioning souls don't just wander around in a void. They are actively met and aided by entities, often described as guides or departed loved ones, who help them acclimate to this completely new, totally foreign reality. And this guidance leads directly into Step 3, the early transition experiences beyond earthly existence. This is all about bringing comfort and direction, as the consciousness literally steps outside the bounds of physical space and time. Section 4. The life review, the pivotal moment. And this brilliantly illustrates our chronological map. Day 1 covers the raw mechanics of physical separation. Day 2 brings the much-needed comfort and direction of spiritual guidance. And then, by Day 3, the soul hits the most intense period of adjustment, the life review and the preparation for the continued journey. This entire timeline is basically portrayed as this intense, escalating runway leading up to a massive, undeniable moment of reflection. Now, this life review is described in Cayce's readings as an absolutely pivotal moment. And to be clear, this isn't about standing before some giant cosmic judge. Actually, it's a profoundly internal reflection. The soul looks back on its physical life, examining its choices, its experiences, and the invisible ripples of its everyday actions. It is the crucial turning point where consciousness has to process what it just lived through before it can effectively move forward into the broader spiritual realms. It's all about learning and integration. Just imagine, for a second, having to watch the ripple effects of every single choice you ever made. That is the kind of profound internal mirror Cayce is describing here. Section 5. Broader spiritual traditions. Contextualizing the vision. Now, when we zoom out and compare Edgar Cayce's teachings against broader spiritual traditions, we see some super fascinating overlaps and some major distinctions. Lots of global traditions, especially those that incorporate reincarnation and continuous consciousness, obviously agree on the existence of a soul and an afterlife. But Cayce's highly specific, structured 72-hour timeline, complete with its exact days of separation, guidance, and life review, offers a uniquely detailed blueprint compared to the more generalized metaphysical philosophies out there. It provides a real, tangible framework to the ultimate unknown, which, honestly, is a major reason why his readings remain so widely studied today. So the crucial point to remember as we analyze these sources is this. Cayce's teachings are presented here purely for educational and historical discussion. These are spiritual beliefs and interpretations, right? They're absolutely not established scientific facts, nor are they medical evidence regarding the afterlife. Our goal in this explainer isn't to validate or debunk any of it, but simply to clearly explain the fascinating framework of his documented metaphysical ideas and just understand what the sleeping prophet actually taught. Which leaves us with this final provocative thought. If science can't prove it, why do these visions of the afterlife continue to captivate us so deeply? Whether you look at it as spiritual truth, historical curiosity, or simply a wild exploration of human consciousness, Cayce's 3-day passage speaks to our deepest, most universal desire, to know that there's meaning, structure, and continuation beyond our final breath. It's a mystery that has gripped humanity since day one, and exploring these frameworks, well, it only deepens our endless fascination with what exactly lies on the other side.